It's another edition of the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com. I'm Tom Leach, joined by Jonathan Fowler from Keeneland Select, and we did a podcast on the stakes races, the graded ones out at Santa Anita that you can listen to, and this one we will focus on the eastern half of the country and some Derby preps, 3 of them at various venues. Let's start up at New York. Aqueduct has the Grade 3 Gotham, weather permitting, I guess, at a mile on the 16th for 3-year-olds. You've got El Kabir in here trying to bounce back from a defeat. And they've got some up-and-coming maiden first-level allowance winners. How did you see the Gotham shaking out, Jonathan?
In this one, it's kind of interesting. You've got El Kabir facing basically some horses that are trying to get some black type to their names. So in this case, I can't really fault El Kabir here. I think there's going to be speed ahead of him. I think they're going to try to teach this horse how to relax some. So there's going to be enough speed ahead of him. He can sit off of it. And I think he's quality enough to win this one. Coming in behind is kind of an interesting. You've got a ton of Todd Pletcher horses in here, and I couldn't really determine who I like the best. But Uninfluenced, the number 8, is one that looks interesting. That hasn't even broke his maiden yet. But in his last start, going a mile, he just finished second by a neck by a very impressive horse, net gain. And then also the other Todd Pletcher horse, the outside number 10, Blame Jim, is an interesting horse stretching out for the first time, but having some really nice work coming into this race. So it's a very interesting race behind El Kabir. There's also the number 5, Lieutenant Colonel. He broke his maiden very impressively at Gulfstream, and Chad Brown sends him all the way to New York for this race. So that's an interesting play as well. So me, I'm using El Kabir, the number 4 on top, with the 5, 8, and 10.
I ended up going for Classy Class, the 3 for Keira McLaughlin. Second off a layoff. I like that the 3-year-old debut buyer was the best. And if he can improve a little bit, maybe good enough. I think El Kabir's definitely the one to beat. Lieutenant Colonel intrigued me a little bit. And then a couple of Pletchers, Uninfluenced, and Blame Jim. I just didn't know which stood out above the crowd. So I ended up going Classy Class in here. Not a strong opinion, but I'm going to key him with El Kabir, Lieutenant Colonel, and then the 2 Pletchers. So 3 with 4, 5, 8, 10, and then put the 3 underneath, turn them the other way. Tampa Bay's 11th race is the Grade 2 Tampa Bay Derby, also at a mile and a 16th for 3-year-olds. I ended up going for Ocean Knight here over Carpe Diem. Tough call, but the Tampa track can be a little quirky, and Ocean Knight's already won over it. And the race is better than it looked on paper because he had an awful post position, way out on the outside. And I like the way that he won the race. Carpe Diem, I have a lot of respect for him. Impressive winner of the Futurity at Keeneland last fall, and then finished like a freight train out at the Breeders' Cup. So he could very easily win this, but I'm just going to try to beat him with Ocean Knight and then use Ocean Knight with Carpe Diem, and then also another Exacta box with Ocean Knight and Amy's Flatter in case Carpe Diem doesn't fire first time out as a 3-year-old. What's your analysis of the Tampa Bay Derby?
I'm basically on the same page with you. I think Ocean Knight, I think he's almost looking like a repeat of his sire, Curlin. Curlin, got started late in his he got started early. And then really came on as a 3-year-old, getting close into the Derby trail. So I think this horse, showed a lot in his last race to fight on to win by a neck over the 1 Divining Rod. So I'm going to use Ocean Knight over Carpe Diem and Divining Rod. Some other horses that could potentially do some things is the number 7, Great Stuff. He finished a closing second when he was stretched out beyond a mile and won his maiden race. And then the outside horse, Danzig Moon, that did the same thing. So those are 2 horses that you could use in maybe your tries and supers because they were closing very well in to win their main races. But Ocean Knight is my pick for this race.
Let's go on to Gulfstream Park now. Couple of graded stakes races we want to take a look at, including one that was rained out last week. It's their 6th race, the Grade 2 Swale Stakes for 3-year-olds at 7 furlongs. Daredevil on the rail, going to be the big favorite out of the Pletcher barn. Can you beat him?
I'm going to try it. I don't think that's the best thing to do, and I might actually use my top horse and him in an Exacta box. But Senor Grits, I liked him last week, the number 6. I just think there's enough speed still in here to set up for him, but Daredevil is much the class. So I do like those 2. The outside horse intrigues me a little bit, the number 8, Bluegrass Singer. He's won 2 races at a mile here at Gulfstream. So I think he has the ability. I think, dropping back from a mile of 16 to 7 furlongs will benefit him quite a bit. But so I'll use Senior Grits and Daredevil, those 2 kind of on top, and then Bluegrass Singer beneath them.
I'm going to go with the one I picked last week, Ready for Rye. I liked his talent at 2, and then the fact that he has raced this year gives him a little bit of a recency edge over Daredevil. He raced in mid-January. And I'm going to try for the upset here. I'm like you, don't like Daredevil down in the 1 hole off the layoff. So I'll use Ready for Rye, the 4 for the win. Use him in Exactas with Daredevil, Super Colossal, the 2, and Senior Grits, the one you mentioned, the 6 as well. 10th race, the Grade 2 Gulfstream Park Handicap. It's at a flat mile, which is a 1-turn race at Gulfstream. And you've got Honor Code, Wicked Strong making their 2015 debuts. I'm going to try to beat him with Valid. He's 4 of 7 at Gulfstream. He's in top form, and the others are coming off a layoff. And with the home track edge and the recency edge, Valid could maybe upset the apple cart here and get a little bit of a better price because those other 2 are going to take a lot of money. And you have to have a ton of respect for Honor Code. Looked really impressive in his comeback effort in the fall. And then Wicked Strong is training like gangbusters for Jerkins. So I'm going to try to beat him with Valid, but I don't know that I'm going to be just flush with confidence. How about you?
I've been caught up in the workouts for Wicked Strong in the past. He trained like a monster leading up to the Kentucky Derby, and I kind of got lost in that. And he's a good horse, but I think he needs a race. I'm going to Private Zone, the number 5. This is a wicked fast horse. I think he's going to be on the lead. Honor Code, maybe tracking him, maybe sitting a little further back. But I think Private Zone, loose on the lead, I think that just spells danger. And so I think he probably gets it. I love Valid. Not sure. He gets some strong numbers in the end, so we'll see how he finishes up. And then Honor Code. So for me, it's 5-1-6. Private Zone, Honor Code, and Valid.
Wish everybody best of luck with your wagers this weekend and some great racing via Keeneland Select, or if you're heading out to Keeneland for simulcasting. And just keep this thought in mind as the snow slowly melts away. 4 weeks from this weekend, you'll be watching the first edition of the Ashland and the Bluegrass Stakes on the same day. And that's just 4 weeks away, so that's a pleasing thought.
I'll give an amen to that.
There you go. For Jonathan Fowler, I'm Tom Leach. And that's our edition of the East Coast version of the In the Money podcast for KeenelandSelect.com.